Welcome, tennis fans, to the 25th episode of Tennis Shivers, Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I'm your host, Ivy J, and in today's episode, I'll be covering the issues surrounding tennis this week, such as the UTS Tournament and the Abu Dhabi Open. And before we begin, please follow all of my social medias, that is Instagram and Twitter, using @TennisShivers, that is @TennisShivers. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show. And I just want to say that my podcast is growing, and I'm just really grateful for you all, especially the ones who were here from the beginning, and of course the new ones. But yeah, when I started this, I didn't expect that I could actually sort of get money from this, but now I'm sort of starting to lock in a sponsorship deal, which is pretty awesome and pretty fascinating in my opinion, because I just started this platform to just talk about tennis, and I'm just really grateful that you guys want to talk about tennis with me together, and we might be having some really, really special guests. So yeah, definitely go follow all of my social media so you guys can get the updates firsthand. And yeah, let's just get right into today's episode. So the first thing I would like to talk about is the Dallas Open, which is a 250 tournament on the men's side. So what else? Okay, first I just want to say that this week I wasn't watching that much tennis except for the Naomi matches, of course, which I will talk about later, but I had actually so much stuff to do this week. It's actually insane, and I'm sorry that I wasn't watching all the matches, so I was just looking at the results. So anyways, let's get back to it. So when I was looking at the results, I saw that there's a lot of American flags, there's a lot of American versus Americans, and also a lot of Australian players in the tournament. And there are just some that I want to point out. The first one is Ben Shelton versus Michael Mmoh. So Michael Mmoh is, in my opinion, a really talented player, and Ben Shelton, I feel like he's sort of been struggling in the beginning of this year because in Australian Open he lost to Andrea Manarino in the third round, and in the tournament before that, the ASP Classic, he played it to the semifinals, but he lost. And then in Brisbane, he also lost in round one, which is kind of probably not his ideal start to the year, even though he did make a deep run in the ASP Classic tournament. But still, so I feel like it was just an interesting matchup. And the other matchup I want to talk about in the Dallas Open, well, not a matchup, but something I just want to point out, is Christopher Eubanks continued to struggle to find his form because he lost in the round of 16, and he just hasn't been performing that well since his, I guess, the Wimbledon rise, because in Wimbledon last year he did really, really good, but he lost to Rublev in Australian Open, and in this tournament he lost to James Duckworth, which is an Australian player, in 2 straight sets. So yeah, I hope he can find his form because I really like his serve, and his play is just, he's an overall a really nice person. I feel like on the tour, everyone's friends with him. So yeah. And the other thing I want to talk about is also sort of on the same level, I guess. It's Giron beating Tiafoe. Tiafoe also hasn't been the best. I feel like even though he's ranked number 1 in this tournament, but his start of the year wasn't really good. He lost in round 2 in the Australian Open. He lost in round 2 in Hong Kong. So yeah, his start of the year isn't that good, but just something I want to point out. And I also want to talk about the match that is going on right now, this exact moment. I have a lot of stuff going on tomorrow, so I couldn't record my podcast tomorrow, so I'm just recording it right now. So I'm sorry, but the match is going on right now, which is Tommy Paul versus Ben Shelton. So Ben Shelton lost I'm looking at the score. Ben Shelton lost the first set in score of 2-6, and Tommy Paul just broke Ben Shelton's service game in the second set, and he's leading 3-2, and he's 15 love up on serve. Just like it's literally live results. So yeah, I think that's exactly like how I predicted it would be, because I feel like Ben Shelton, like I said before, didn't have like his best start to the year, and Tommy Paul's just like doing really solid. The other matchup I want to talk about is Giron versus Manarino. So I want to sort of talk about Manarino again, because I just find him to be super entertaining and super interesting, because like I talked about how he doesn't like any sponsorships, and just like he doesn't know who he's playing against before, like he doesn't like to know his draw. And like when I was scrolling through Twitter, something popped up about like different players with different strength tensions, and he like came into my attention again because he has a strength tension of 19 pounds. And for those who don't know what that means, it's how sort of tight you want your strings to be. So just for like a reference, Nadal has a string tension at 55 pounds. So the looser the string tension it's like more bouncier, and you have to know, like you have to feel the ball more sort of. And it's like really sort of harder. Well, no, it's not harder to generate power, but it's just like you have to feel the ball more. You have to put more finesse to it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's just really, I think, unique to him, because he said he did it to protect his shoulders and arms, because as you guys know, he's 35. I'm pretty sure he's kind of old on a tennis tour. So yeah, I think it's sort of an interesting move for him to like protect his body in this way. And he came into the semifinal with 2 consecutive walkovers. So he didn't play his quarterfinal match. Well, he won this first set with a score of 6-2, and then he was leading 3-1 in the second set, and the player, which is Duckworth, withdraw. And in the round of 16, he was gonna play against Nishioka, but he withdrew. So he had like sort of 2 consecutive walkovers. So because of that, I feel like Manarino is gonna beat Giron in the semifinals, because as I said before, he is well rested. And Giron just played in the quarterfinal, even though he beat Tiafoe, but he had to put a lot of work in. So I feel like Manarino's gonna come out on top. And because I predicted Tommy Paul will go into the finals versus Manarino, I feel like Tommy Paul will get his first title like this year, because, well, if Ben Shelton advances, which I don't think he can, especially with the score that's like right now, but if Ben Shelton advances, he won't win against Manarino, because they played in Australian Open, and Ben Shelton has never won against anyone who's a left-hand player. So Manarino is also a left-handed player, if you guys couldn't tell from what I was saying. But yeah, okay, let's just move on. We'll talk about the UTS tournament. So this is a really funny tournament. It's sort of, from like what I've written on my show, like on my notes, it's like a creative tournament. Like, it is unique. It's not like ranked as like you get 500 points, you get 250 points. It's not like in that system. And it's super creative because it has its unique way of scorekeeping. I'm not going to explain it because it's sort of long, but if you guys want to go check it out, I'm sure you can look it up on the website. And they all have interesting nicknames. Okay, let's just talk about some. For example, Casper Ruud is the Iceman because he's from Norway. Holger Rune he's the Viking, sure. And then Alexander Bublik is the Bublik enemy, which is kind of funny. And what else? Let me look at funny ones. Okay, Lucas Pouille is the French Fleur. Like, what? And then Alex Seminar is the Demon, which, I mean, okay, sure. But yeah, I feel like it's really funny. It's really goofy, but I just want to point that out. However, this Oslo tournament, this UTS tournament is happening in Oslo, which is from Norway, so of course I want Casper Ruud to win because he's from Norway, but this tournament hasn't been going on according to plan. I'll talk about the small issue first, which is how Rune and Dominic Thiem both withdrew because of stomach bugs. So that's really not good for the tournament because both players are entertaining players. And I want to also talk about another thing, which is how the UTS decided to disqualify Gail Monfils, which I personally I don't understand it, but I'll just have to accept it. So I will leave a link to the tweets from Monfils and the UTS down below if you guys want to go form your own opinion. But basically, from what the UTS claimed, is that there was like a playful exchange between Gail Monfils and the tournament supervisor, which resulted in a minor injury. But they talked about how there were no malice intended from Gale, but like there was an injury, so they had to disqualify Gale, which I don't understand, like looking at this tweet at all, because why would a playful exchange, it literally says playful, like why would a playful exchange result in a suspension, well, not suspension, sorry, a disqualification? Like it doesn't make sense to me because they said it's a playful one and there were no harm. And then from the one that Gail Monfils tweeted, it's literally sort of the same thing, but he talked about how like it was never my intention to hurt or cause harm, and thankfully the tournament director knew that. And they were like, and he said that this disqualification makes this looks like there were an issue or an altercation backstage, but really there wasn't. There was just an accident and nothing more. So like, yes, and I just don't get it because if it's a friendly exchange, it's like an exchange, right? It's not like Gail Monfils is trying to do something, but it is what it is. And one of the users tweeted under like Gail Monfils' tweet, he said, "Thanks for the explanation. I still don't understand the disqualification, but if you accept it, I will also." And Monfils was like, "I know," with like a sad face, and but like you said, I accepted. So I guess I'm on the same page with them. I don't understand, but I'll accept it, especially with all like them making sure that it's a friendly exchange, but then also disqualifying him. It just doesn't make sense to me. Because if it's a friendly exchange, why would they disqualify someone? Because it's literally like a minor injury. And he said that it was never my intention to cause harm or hurt them. But yeah. Sorry, I was like scrolling through Twitter, I saw this, I was like, huh? I was like actually confused, but it is what it is, as I said. Okay, on a lighter note, I don't talk about the results. I'll leave a link, I guess, to the some of the interesting matchups that occurred, and I'll leave a link to the UTS website down below too, especially the Oslo one, like the Oslo page, so you guys can check out the rankings and stuff. But we have Casper Ruud with 3 wins, with played like 3 out of 3 wins, which is super cool. I love him. And we have Rublev with also 3 wins on the other group. So just sort of an update about what's happening right now. And yeah, it's like an interesting tournament if you guys want to go check it out. There's like, if I say this, like there's no doubles line, like there's only the singles line, there's no alley. So if you guys want to check it out, you'll get what I'm saying. So it's really easy to hit, well, not easy, but it's entertaining shots are more likely to happen. I'll just leave it at that, and you guys can go check it out. I'll leave a link down below. Okay, and now we'll talk about the Abu Dhabi Open. So this wasn't a good tournament for me. I only watched it for Naomi to get bageled. I think it was on Monday, I'm pretty sure. I saw it because I woke up early because I had stuff to do. I woke up at like 5, and then Naomi was like almost gonna come out on court. I saw her lost the first set, and I was like, okay, she's doing well. She's gonna be okay. And then, like on my bus, I was like, okay, it's gonna be fine. And then I was listening to music. I checked the score again. She's down 0-2. I was like, oh shoot, I can't watch this right now because I literally have tests going on. I have to study. So I didn't watch it. And then after I arrived at school, I checked the score. She's down 0-4. And I was like, Naomi, do something, please. I was actually so sad. I was talking to my friends. I was like, I give up. I can't. I'm just gonna study. I was so sad, y'all. And then, and then, my first period class is banned because I played a flute, and then I saw the score. I saw she got bageled, and the first thing I saw my friend was like the first thing I said after I saw my friend was Naomi got bageled, And then they were like, oh, poor you. They were like literally making fun of me, but I was sad. And then I feel like that was just like a bad day for Naomi. Sorry if this is like getting weirdly informal, but then she played doubles with Ons, and guess what? They lost. So Naomi lost 4 straight sets in a day. I was so sad and devastated for her, but I feel like she's fine. Like, she entered the Qatar Open, and to be honest, I just hope she plays more tournament, because honestly, the draws are doing that. Like, the draws are so bad for her. I don't know why, but the draws aren't working in her favor at all. Okay, sorry for my long vent about me reacting to Naomi getting bagelled, but we'll now talk about another issue, which is the like Ons Jabbar's knees problem. She's been struggling with that problem for a long time now, and I really love her. I think she's a great player, and unfortunately, even though she beat Emma Raducanu in the round of 16th, she lost in the quarterfinal against Bia Haddad-Maia, and she was in tears, which just shows how much pain she was in because of her knees. And she's been in 3 Grand Slam finals now, and I would really like to see her winning one this year. But with all her injuries, even though she put in a lot of hard work, like, your body, you can't really control that. So I feel really sad for her and really hope that she can get better soon. And then I want to talk about Daria Kasatkina, because she beat Bia Haddad-Maia and she's now in the finals against Rybakina. Rybakina has a 9-2 record this year, so she's doing amazing as well. And I also want to talk about Danielle Collins, who, after beating Naomi Osaka, had a set against Elena Rybakina, which is amazing. But he said during Australian Open that this is going to be her last year. I really hope she rethinks that decision, because she's playing super well this year. And yeah, I feel like a lot of good things will happen. And this is like all the tournament summaries that happened this week. And I do want to mention that I left a link to some interesting matchups from both the Dallas Open and the Abu Dhabi Open. I also left the Gail Monfils tweet and the UTS tweet. They're the UTS website, and there's just like one match of Holger Rune versus Casper Ruud that I thought was entertaining, so I left that in the description as well. And now we'll talk about the Qatar Open for the women's side, which is like the 1,000 tournament. So this is like the first 1,000 tournament after Australian Open, so a lot of players are attending the tournament. And let's just talk about Naomi first, because guess what? She's playing against Caroline Garcia again. Like, she played against Caroline Garcia in Australia. She lost, but still, like, her draws are never getting better. Why is it that every time she plays, she has to face someone who's, like, seeded and doing really good? But whatever. Even though I know she's unseeded, but still, like, whatever. Really mad about that. And Naomi, she tweeted, like, an tweet. It was so funny. I think she was also reacting to her draw, but yeah. Okay, and now we'll talk about some interesting matchups. The first one I want to talk about is Iga Swiatek versus Sloane Stephens. So if this matchup carries through, which is if Sloane Stephens wins her round 1 match, she'll play against Iga. Even though I feel like Iga's gonna win, it's just like an interesting matchup I want to point out. And the other matchup that might happen is Emma Raducanu versus Jelena Ostapenko. That will be really funny, because Ostapenko likes to hit with a lot of power, and she's just like a power hitter. But Raducanu, on the other hand, likes to, like, she can run a lot, and she's really quick, and she sort of just gets every ball. So it'll be like a fun matchup. And if Ostapenko wins again, she will play Iga if Iga gets there, Iga Swiatek. And this is just something I want to talk about, because Jelena Ostapenko has a 5-0 record against Iga Swiatek, which is crazy, because Iga is literally the world number 1. But I just found these funny, because Victoria Azarenka also has like a dominant record against Jelena Ostapenko. But yeah, so it's just like a triangle sort of in a way, and I find that sort of funny, goofy, I don't know. But yeah. And this sort of sums up today's episode. This episode was sort of all over the place, because I talked a lot about some sad issues that happened, but also just some of my personal experiences with like Naomi. Sorry if that part of my band was too long. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you all so much for listening. It really means a lot to me, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.